you thought of a tree. We are very visually oriented, and it's interesting because the picture that I put into your mind with my face noise is the picture that will stick. The other words that do not have a picture associated with them don't stay. I'm just going to make a mosaic of pictures, and when the face noises stop, your pudding is going to look over that mosaic and say, oh, now I understand. Let me use this example. Let's say I walk down the street and I see 150 Harley Davidsons lined up outside the DoubleTree. And a very, very large, bearded, Hagar the Horrible, Viking-looking man comes out with tattoos on his eyeballs and chains hanging down and big engineer boots and everything. And I say, excuse me, sir, what's this all about? And he said, yeah, hey, we're a bike club. You know, a lot of people think that us bikers are a bunch of drug dealers and thugs that murder babies and eat their bodies. That's actually not true. And, you know, you probably saw that movie, The Wild Bunch. You know, not all of us are like that. I think only about 10% of us ever actually been in jail. And, you know, the biker bars, that's all Hollywood. When we go to the biker bars, we're not breaking the place up and you know, snorting cocaine through our hair and all that stuff. No, we're just a bunch of guys just like to ride bikes and not eat babies or murder women or rape trees or anything like that. Look at that mosaic of pictures in your head right now. Are you positively disposed toward Mr. the Horrible?
It's a lovely bunny.
All those times he said, not, we don't, we aren't, this isn't. You didn't hear those words. All you heard was drug dealing, violence, baby raping, tree munching, whatever the heck. Baby eating, tree raping, that's what it was. To them, immediately panic and think, this person has heard horrible things. I must defend the fandom. Please don't defend us. We don't need to be defended. Maybe this person has heard dreadful things. Maybe they haven't. But once you open your mouth, they will have. It's a very, very common thing. You know, a nice, stalwart-looking lady with the, green pantsuit and a guy with a camera, and she's got a microphone. She goes up to somebody and she says, so what do you do here? And they say, we don't have sex with the persons! There's that mental picture, ain't it? Now you're all laughing. You're all giggling. Ha isn't Uncle Kage silly? But people do that. And that's why I'm up here. Furry fandom, let's face it, had its beginnings in Southern California in the late 1980s into the 1990s. For whatever reason, the folks who started the fandom, very, very free spirits, they were not thinking forward. They were living in the moment, they were enjoying themselves, they really didn't have a care for the public image that they were creating. And the public image that they were creating was, well, one that we're still suffering from today. One of the many reasons Anthrocon was brought into existence was to provide an alternative to those early days of the fandom, where people could go who just want to enjoy furry fandom. They want to share art, they want to hang out with their friends without going into the lobby and seeing that which cannot be unseen. And as I look around, I see a few old-timers who just cringe because they know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, that's a little in-joke. Later on, I might tell you what it was, it will require input. So, first impressions are lasting impressions. The world's first image of furry fandom was not the image that we are trying to portray today. We got a bit of a hit around, I think, the year 2000, thereabout, was it? Maybe a little bit later than that, when a TV show, you stand up a moment. Move your bags, turn around so people can see the shirt that you're wearing. If you cannot see what it said underneath those letters, CSI, can't stand idiots. I like that shirt.
Mention it right away.
So, with that in mind, furries feel that they're constantly on guard, they're constantly nervous, they're constantly worried. Oh, what if somebody has bad ideas about it, and they find out I'm a furry, then they'll have bad ideas about me? It's up to you to change that. If somebody comes up and wants to know what it's about, tell them what it's about. Cartoon animals, costumes, drawing, art, performance, creativity, dreaming. Every single one of you in here is a creator. Every one of you is an artist. We are all dreamers here. And I have told the press many, many times, you will find underneath the roof of this hotel in that magnificent convention center more creative energy than you will find in the whole of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania this weekend. This is a remarkable family, a unique community. There is so much it has to offer, so many beautiful things. Don't ruin it by immediately trying to jump to the defense of something that, quite frankly, I don't think has anything to be defended against. So, people come and they say, what is all this? It's a cartoon convention. As you can see, we have costumers. And I heard a brilliant description. Don't say fursuit, by the way, they also don't know what that means. You say fursuit, you might even give them a very bad impression. Because about 6-7 years ago, Carl, correct me, I got an email from people for the ethical treatment of animals, also known as PETA, that was concerned that our convention was something a little different than it is. They had the wrong idea. And they sent me an email that basically said, you people don't wear real animal fur at your convention, do you? My answer to them was actually posted on their website. It's still there. I sent them a very, very polite letter on Anthrocon letterhead that said, dear lady, please be assured that the wearing of real fur at Anthrocon is frowned upon in the same way that jumping in front of a speeding train is frowned upon at comic book conventions. That's magnificent. That's exactly what they are. Because the person understands the idea of a mascot character. Oh, they just do this for fun. And that's all. Remember that term. Freelance mascots. Now, to get to the point of the title of this panel, what happens if the person asking that question is accompanied by a man with a really big camera with a spotlight on the front and 3 or 4 letters on the side, usually starting with a W or a K. And that person walks up and the camera gets thrust in your face and the microphone gets put under your nose and they say, so tell us about this convention. At that moment, you are the representative of the entire fandom. You are the ambassador of all of us to the rest of the world. No pressure. But what you say and do in the next 4 seconds can make or break the entire interview. What's something you should not say? How about, we don't have sex in our persons! That's a good one. Another one that some people think they should say is, no comment. Please don't say that. Only morons and politicians say that. But I repeat myself. Thank you, Mark Twain. No comment means, yes, I did have sex with that woman. In the world of news media, no means yes. Yes means yes. No comment means, oh, hell yes. Remember, the folks in the news media, they're looking for an interesting story. There's enough interesting story here to go around. Please don't give them one they don't need. If you say no comment, if you act like you're nervous, there's something to hide, you're being evasive, you're trying not to tell them something, it's like blood on the water. And they are very, very, very highly trained in getting information out of people, in getting people to tell them things without directly asking them. Excuse me, do you know what time it is? No! Do you know what time it is? Yes, I know what time it is. You went and told me what time it is, but I didn't ask that. That's a very, very simplistic exercise. But that's the sort of thing that they will do. Oh, he's not saying something. Let's find out what it is. Trust me, they're good at it. And without very, very specialized training, you will not be able to get through that interview. I happen to have that very self-same specialized training. Some of you know I've been working in emergency services for 20 years. In a disaster, the news media want to know things, but we often don't want to release information because that could cause problems. If you would like to look into history, some of us were there, but if you want to look up on your Wiki whatever out there, look up 3 Mile Island. We call that the media disaster. Because the media this had never happened before, the media was so hungry for information, they were getting politicians and emergency people to say stuff that wasn't really accurate, and it threw the entire state into a wild, unnecessary panic. Did the news media necessarily want to do this? I suspect not, but they wanted the story. So, this person comes up and puts the camera in your face. There's a few things you want to do before you open your mouth. Number one, look at those letters. See what they are. KDKA, WTAE. These are local news stations, local television news stations. Those are generally safe. Generally safe. They're not out here trying to get some bizarre, sensational, titillating story. That's the 6 o'clock news. You know, family's going to be watching that. They're interested in my word, this is a weird thing. If the letters on there are HBO, Comedy Central, you probably don't want to talk to them because they're not here to report the news, they're here to make up a story that people will laugh at. There is a tremendous difference between news media and entertainment media. By the way, if the 3 letters are BBF, that's okay, because he's one of us. BBF is actually a professional news cameraman. He works for a television station in Germany. So he is an excellent cameraman, and he can be trusted. Get the cameraman to speak. See if he has a German accent. If you should get the local news, usually they're going to ask you, can I talk to you? You have two choices. Yes, or I'd rather not. You don't say no. There we go into that, whatever there.
We go into the no means yes.
Yes, no means, well, no means I'm hiding something, go away. Now, you can just say, well, yeah, I'd rather not. I'm camera shy. If they press and say, oh, come on, what don't you want to, why don't you want to be on TV? Here's one. Tell them, I told the boss I was sick of it. They'll leave you. If you're cool with being on the news, answer their questions. They're going to ask you questions. And they're going to say things like, what is all this? What kind of people are here? What kind of people are here? What kind of people are here? Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. I joke. But that's the thing. You sometimes need to think in the field. What kind of people are here? Artists, costumers, scientists, computer programmers, police officers, firefighters, teachers, college professors, engineers, military, physicians, of which we have several, students. Any people that you would see walking by the streets of Pittsburgh are represented here. They'll ask, how did you get into this? Tell them, not necessarily 100% honestly, because I don't know. Just remember, this part is not hard, really. Just tell them the things that you would tell Grandma when she asked those questions. Unless your grandma is my mom. Don't tell her that. Don't tell them that stuff. Because my mom, the little old lady in the little white hair with the little scooter out there. Not out there, is she? Remember Mr. Horrible, the biker guy with the chains and all that? That was her in the 1950s. Chains, engineer boots, German helmet with a spike on a Harley Davidson. That was my mom. She met my father when she assaulted him on the streets of Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Story for another day.
Okay. I never thought I'd clap for assault.
Yes, that's all I'm honest with you. I had seen that. Usually when I see that I say, yes. Yes, you may ask me a few questions. Why don't you hold that up higher? You'll hear me better. Who are you with, by the way? There was a gentleman back there who, between the two sessions, came up and he had a recorder and he said, can I ask you a few questions? How many people were back there then? What did I say? I said, oh, certainly. Who are you with? Who are you with? A scrupulous news person is required professionally to tell you. Now, I am with this network, I work for Comedy Central, something like that. This gentleman, that seems okay to me. I told him what he wanted to know. What if he had said, I'm with Comedy Central, I'm with HBO, I'm with the Nat Geo series Taboo.
Say, I'm not going to play your game.
Yes, I'm with the Tyra Banks show.
Oh, God.
At a convention, you can always say, have you spoken to a staff member? Because we require all media to check in with us. We want to know, have you spoken to a staff? Is there a staff member standing by? If there isn't, it could be that this person wanted to come to the convention and we said no. So I don't recommend talking to them. And you can always say, let me get someone that you can talk to. And then you inform the staff, there's a gentleman over here trying to get interviews and I don't think he's trustworthy. The Dorsai regulars will send Renegade down here.
Oh boy.
You guys have met Renegade, right? Renegade is the very, very gentle little Santa Claus-y looking man with, little happy-go-lucky, roly-poly, You know, look at me, I'm the same thing. He's my security chief. As happy-go-lucky and gentle and friendly as he is a former Special Forces member with 3 tours of duty in Vietnam. He takes care of things around here. Anyway, you can always call for a staff member. And in fact, if this person is going around getting interviews and doesn't have a staff member around, you should be suspicious. Carl's still back there, did he run away? We do have some folk that are going around getting interviews that we have done some investigating on ourselves. They have a badge that says media unescorted. It's a very official looking badge. That means that this person said, may I go around the convention asking questions? That usually initiates a research project on our part. We look into this person. We look into their background. What other kinds of stories have they done? You know, the last story he did was nun-munching bikers on steroids. How about no? Tomorrow, there will be a team here from NBC International, headed up by Amna Nawaz. You might have seen her on MSNBC. She is a very, very well-known correspondent. She has done stories on the plight of children in Africa. She has interviewed heads of state. When she said she wanted to interview me, I said, now wait a minute. You interviewed Mr. Netanyahu and now you want to interview me. Okay. Because I can't do any worse than starting a war in the Middle East. You know, it's just, I'm okay. So, if they have a badge that says media unescorted, they're probably okay. Now, suppose they're asking you these questions, and they start asking questions that you're not comfortable with. That happens all the time. As I said, they might not have heard about some of the things that we prefer not to discuss from our early days, or they may have. To do a balanced story, even a reporter who's looking to do a good story on us has to ask. And they will say, okay, I hate to bring this up. Here it comes. Here it comes. You know it's coming. Yeah, but what about these things that I heard about? Somebody told me that you guys have sex in these suits. I usually roll my eyes and I say, I have an idea. You go home and try to have sex while you're wearing your sofa. That suit over there costs $7,000. You cannot get that fur anymore. It's no longer made. The owner of that suit doesn't want me coming in within 25 feet of him with a cup of coffee. Usually they back off. Do you notice I didn't say no? Never lie. Never lie outright to the media. That's bad. But there's lots of ways to answer a question. I don't recommend this if you are not 1, media trained, or 2, media.
Mess with them.
I wouldn't recommend messing with them because
Playing their game.
it depends. It depends on what you mean by playing their game. Don't be sarcastic because they'll creatively edit that. If they ask uncomfortable questions, you can deflect it. You can, I don't know anything about that. Or, and this is my favorite, they say, do you guys have sex in those suits? That's a kind of sick question. What kind of journalist are you again? Oh, that usually there was a local shock jock from, I think it's WDVE station around here, called me during dinner. I don't know how they got my number. They called me during dinner 4 years ago. And they're like, hey, we're live on the air with Sam Conway. He's the director of Anthrocon down at the convention center. Hi there, Sam, how you doing? We're going to talk to you. You're live on the air. I'm like, okay. Can I finish my pie first? Okay, I'll talk to you. I said, so tell us, you guys have a lot of great sex in those suits down there in the center, aren't you? So I said, well, guys, first off, we're a cartoon convention, and I'm, wearing your sofa and all this. Oh, come on, you gotta be honest with me. You guys are having like wild, hot animal sex in there, and your suits, and you guys are getting all hot and sweaty in those things. And I said, well, yes, they're getting hot and sweaty, but because those suits are very, very uncomfortable, they're made of canvas, they tend to chafe. And they just wouldn't let up. And finally I said, oh, all right, okay, all right, you got me, I confess. Furries are the only people on Earth who have sex, and you're just jealous. Again, I don't recommend trying that if you're not trained. So, if you're not comfortable answering the question, don't say no comment. Don't try to hide, don't try to evade, don't put your hand in front of the camera and say this interview's over. Like I said, blood on the water. You can just tell them, that's a very sick question, and I'm starting to question your sanity. Or you can say, let me get you someone who can answer that. Mr. Renegade, would you come over here with those brass things? I don't know is a perfectly good answer. I don't know. I've never run into that before.
And second question.
Yes, second question.
What are your thoughts with the
What were my thoughts and feelings? What are you, my psychiatrist? My thoughts and feelings when they had the furries being interviewed on Dr. Phil. Actually, that is an excellent question because that would be a valid news media question for me. What were your thoughts on these Dr. Phil people? My personal thoughts are the woman with the more than prurient interest in the rabbits. That's a little outside my area of expertise. I personally don't condone such a thing, but I'm not really in a position to judge. And this Boom of the Dog gentleman, who I believe is quite certifiably insane. I honestly hope he gets the help he needs. Which is true. The guy's a nutcase. Yes, Mr. Tiger. Yes, he is loco. Oh, local. He shows up to none of the meets. He doesn't show up to Anthrocon. We have no record of him ever purchasing a membership to Anthrocon. But I have seen video of him here, and that pisses me off. I'm just going to leave it at that. What is going on in his mind? I don't know, and I'm terrified to find out. But let us not turn this into a session booming a gentleman who probably really does need some very, very serious therapy. Yes? Buy a ticket and find out. Super sponsorships start at $250. But Carl, did you by chance bring an example of one of the media badges that says understood by chance? Okay. We'll do that next year. We should have thought of that. Trust us, it looks really cool. Carl does that. We have had them in the past, and if you've never seen one before, it means we had good media that came in, they talked to 2 people, they went home. Because, let's face it, they're not here to spend 14 hours in our company. They're here to get the story, go home, edit it, and get to the next story. What? I really think they are. Oh, in the back there, Jim said.
Yeah. What would you do if you say you're being interviewed and someone like photobombs like grinding furries on one another?
Yes, there's a term for that my grandmother used to use. That's called asshole. Okay, media people deal with this all the time. There's dumb freaks in the back who are always they hate that. I hate it too. Don't do it because it makes all of us look like morons.
I think
If you want to make someone look like a moron, take off your badge first. Oh, yes.
You played dumb.
Oh, yes, you can play dumb. If you get into an uncomfortable circumstance and you're trying to find a graceful way out, dumb works. And I hate to say it that way, but dumb works. Because you're burning their time, you're burning their videotape. You know, if you don't like the question, what do you call it? There's fella, what's his name? Yeah, Charles. Jim. No, Charles. What do you call sorry, what was the question again? I turned the vehicle into a particularly hard-hit street, found myself surrounded by rubble on 3 sides. And like a pack of jackals, these people with cameras and microphones and bright lights just swarmed around the truck and thrust the camera through the window and said, "What happened here?" Okay, what happened here? Quite frankly, I think that should be bloody obvious. But I know what's coming. My training tells me what's coming. They're going to try to get me to say something that they can put on the news. And our exclusive report is that, coming from official sources, says that the following, blah, blah, blah. So I said, oh, a really big storm come through here. A lot of wind and, stuff blowing around. They say, tell us, was it a tornado? Tornado? Where? I said, no, sir, did a tornado hit here? I said, well, yeah, back in '93, I was looking out my back window. No, sir, last night, did a tornado strike last night? I don't know, I was in Little Rock, I don't know, they haven't told me, so I'm just here, we're getting a damage assessment. Damage assessment, what is the damage assessment? Well, I haven't started yet. And you got the paperwork out, see what we do, is we do what you call a windshield survey first. It's because they call it that because you're like looking through the windshield, and that's why I call it windshield survey. Well, I'm gonna drive by here. I'm gonna look through the windshield. All right. So was anybody killed? What? Was anybody killed? When? Sir, during the storm, was anybody killed? I don't know. Let me hang on. Oh, wait, this is the 90s. Cell phones ain't invented yet. Hang on, radio. This is Herb D4. You know about anybody getting, of course, the cameras, microphone stuff are in here. You know about anybody getting killed out here? Is it Herb D4? Hang on, I put the channel on. A few of them started going away. This one, I had her 15 minutes. She just wouldn't leave me alone. It was great. Hang on, fella out there, put your hand on that antenna. Yeah, that's it. You kind of hold on to it, maybe. Yeah, that's sometimes gives some better, I'm getting something here. Yeah, oh, not that loud. Where'd they go? Yeah, we're done. That works. Anthrocon 2006 was our first year here in Pittsburgh. We were down in the lobby, and local station, I think it was WT80, came by and they sent a very, very nice reporter, and what he wanted to interview the guest of honor that year, and he wanted to interview the guest of honor with a backdrop of fursuiters lined up. That's a beautiful image. It's a good, visual bite that we can do, and so we got a bunch of some of our finest fursuiters who just happened to be in the lobby for that scheduled interview. I don't know why they were there. But I got these fursuiters together, and they did this nice lineup, in the back there, and they were interviewing the guest of honor, and I was standing behind the cameraman, because once the camera's on you, you're stuck. You don't want to do anything, no comment, anything like that. You ever seen the guy, the Toronto mayor or something like that? Get the camera out of my face! Oh, they love that. I was standing back there going, oh, this is wonderful. This is some of the best coverage I've ever seen. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. City of Pittsburgh's going to love us, yeah. And while this was going on, a gentleman in a husky suit came walking up behind one of the fursuiters and came behind him and starts going, umph, 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 on camera. And I went, just looking around, kind of staying down low, out of camera range, behind the first fursuiter. Hey, you, bam! Get him out of here! Never seen him since. So I don't know. The renegade just smiles when I ask him. That night, I was watching with horrible trepidation, because right before this, they had interviewed me, and I thought they were going to have my face talking about this stuff, and while I was doing the talking, they were going to cut to the scene of the umph, umph, umph. And that would be the end of everything. I was watching in horror. I was upstairs, surrounded by some of the German delegation from Eurofurries, who were trying to wrestle the pistol out of my hand and keep it away from my temple. The news reporter came on and we all froze. And we watched as the news report proceeded, and we saw the lineup of fursuiters, the guest of honor being interviewed, and you saw the husky walk up, and then as the interview proceeded, it cut to a panoramic view of the dealer's room, and then came back in time to see the husky going free off camera right back. I felt relief. I cannot begin to describe the relief. I felt, it's all right, Dr. Conway, it's not going to be herpes anyway kind of relief. That sort of thing. Meanwhile, BBF, the professional news cameraman, was critiquing the performance of the news team, because he's a perfectionist. And he had sucked down about 300 Heinekens. Remember, he's German, that's 2 Heinekens past his limit. And he's sitting there going, oh, this is awful. I cannot believe this. That cameraman should be against the wall and shot. Look at how they have framed you in the interviews. This is awful. I'd be so embarrassed. The lighting is flat. Everything looks gray, and the framing is so far down, he's cut off your entire foreskin. What? He said, no foreskin. He cuts off your foreskin. I said, we need to talk. He was so embarrassed, and I've never let him forget it. There are times when the media is on your side, and I'm very pleased and proud to say that the Pittsburgh media is on our side. They have always been very good to us. They do love us. They have never given us any bad press, and in return, I have been talking up the city of Pittsburgh to just about anyone who asks. It's not generally well known, but the city of Pittsburgh uses me as a reference when people are looking for venues. I am constantly getting phone calls from people saying, we want to move our event to Pittsburgh, what do you think? And I say, let me tell you a story. We had on Wednesday night an actual honest-to-goodness press conference. They had me up at a podium and the people giving us the questions out there and everything. And one gentleman did kind of broach the subject. He said, what about this? We've heard there's sort of lascivious things going on. I just sort of rolled my eyes and I said, that is a myth that we debunked a long time ago. You might want to do some research, get with the current times. Next question, please. That's good. That's good. All right.
That means don't screw it up.
That works. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Do you feel a little more prepared if you see a camera going around that doesn't say BBF TV on it? What you should do, make sure there's either a staff member standing by. If there's not a staff member standing by, look for that unescorted media. Yes, I see a hand.
No, I've had a couple people approach me a couple times. They were nice.
Speak up, I'm old.
I've had a couple people approach me, they're like their fancy garb or whatever, and they asked what's going on. I said, well, I called us anthropomorphic creatures. They said, well, could you describe that for me? I said, well, it's kind of like, the cartoon shows. If you see like Bugs Bunny and Daffy, Donald, is that okay, or is that
You can use, again, those pictures in the pudding up here. Positive pictures. Everybody likes, Donald Duck. Everybody likes Daffy Duck. Everybody likes Bugs Bunny. You can use those as examples. The Pink Panther, sports mascots, Tony the Tiger. Good, positive images. Joe Camel's not a good one. Joe Camel's not a good one. Although you started out with the word anthropomorphic, again, I don't know what that means. That's putting them a little bit on the defensive, so I don't recommend that. Go straight for the simple terms. Oh, yes, it's over there. Print media, there's usually a person sitting there frantically writing, or they will have the recorder out there. Answer their questions. Answer them honestly. If you get to a question that you are not comfortable with, you can deflect it. You casually change the subject. Tell them that's kind of a twisted question and I'm doubting now your sanity. Be honest, but not too honest. Yes?
What if you see a friend or acquaintance or some footway steering an interview in the wrong direction?
There is very little that you can do. Very, very little that you can do. Because the camera's on them. You can go behind the camera and say,
You can flat out interrupt the interview and say, hey dude, let's go to that panel.
you can be the annoying drunk. Run up, grab your friend, hey dude, you gotta see this over here! And drag him away. Or kind of go up and say, dude, I need the room key because I left my tail up in the room and such. Because the thing is, I was in a panel and I wanted to put the tail in the room and when I went up to the room, I put the tail in there and then when I left the room, the tail mail was still in it, and then I didn't have the key, and I can't figure out how I got in the first place without a key, but I think you might have a key. That worked. It can be tricky. The bottom line is that there is no fixed answer. It boils down to simple rules. Don't describe us by what we are not. Use positive imagery. Use short, simple words that people can understand. And be friendly. Don't get confrontational. Don't act like you have something to hide. Because quite frankly, I don't think we have anything to hide. This is a magnificent fandom, and to me, there is nothing at all to be ashamed of. And if you are ashamed to be a furry, you're here for the wrong reasons. We have time for maybe one more question. Yes, the gentleman there by the door. Yes, you.
Okay.
Yes, you.
You've given us questions like a guide on what not to say. What are the 10 worst things you've ever heard someone say?
Oh boy. I've heard 10 would be an awful hard number. I need the top 2 or 3. Some of the top things I've heard. What are these costumes? Freelance mascots. I love that. That is a magnificent term. It's wonderful. We're a cartoon animal convention. That's a great thing to say. So what do you do in real life? I'm an active duty colonel in the United States Marine Corps. I like that one. Some of the worst things I've heard, when the question was asked, so, do you have sex in the suit? She was wearing an Anthrocon badge at the time. There was, when I started out with, a lot of people think we're sexual deviants, but that's not really true. Only about 10% of us are sexual deviants. My name's Boomer the dog, and those are about the top and bottom 3 that I can think of. Let's see. I'm just about out of time. What's in this room, Angela? Take one more, maybe. Somebody's pointing. He's pointing to those hands. All right, just shout it out because I can't say it.
How have you mitigated some of the negative media?
How have I mitigated some of the negative media? That's part of my job. That's what I'm here for. How do I mitigate it? Downplay it. There's an old song, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. There are times when the less said, the better. You don't need to dwell on it. You don't need to say a lot of words. Minimize it. It's not important. So what about these things we've heard? These are young people, who the hell knows what they do. Have I mentioned that we brought more than $47 million to the Pittsburgh economy since we got here? Here in Pittsburgh, when in doubt, if you get cornered and got nothing else to say, start talking trash about Philadelphia. That'll get you anywhere in this town. That's probably enough on the subject.